100 feet around the house.
Good.
Sharon?
All right, it's 8:03. Good morning and welcome to the Main Street, Adrian Main Street Board of Directors meeting for January 12th, 2022. We'll call the meeting to order. Meredith, you've done roll call? Excellent. In front of you, you have an agenda. I've changed it quite a bit, as you'll see. Just wanted to see if anybody wanted to add anything to the agenda at this time. If not, I'll accept a motion of support to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Support, thank you. All right, any further discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the same. Also provided to you in your packets and in paper form, our minutes from our December 8th meeting. And if anybody had any corrections, deletions, or any additions. If none, I'll entertain a motion to accept the minutes as presented. There's been a motion. Is there support?
Support.
There's support.
Who made the motion?
Margaret? All right, any further discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the same. We're going to move to the Finance Committee, and Brad, you had provided us.
I've distributed all the reports. We are currently looking at about a $45,000 surplus through the end of the fiscal year, which would be in end of June. Cash in bank right now, sitting in the neighborhood of, I guess it'd be about almost 300,000, but we do have about $40-ish thousand worth of obligations for the rest of the fiscal year. So,
Excellent.
yep.
Brad, when it comes to on the section of supply events, advertising, promotion, and supply special projects, I just want to make mention as we move into our next fiscal year, we'd want to separate.
We are
that
gonna,
and identify.
yes. If anybody's interested in sitting down for budget stuff in the next month, please let me know. But we're gonna be probably creating dozens of line items
Right.
to separate it. Those were kind of catch-alls as we were going through this transitionary stage, and we were just been charging everything to those. So we're gonna want to itemize and then make it so that we can see kind of what's going on in terms of more specific line items.
Right. Like advertising.
Yes.
like events, all of it broken out.
Yeah.
Excellent. Any questions for Brad on the financial report? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to accept the financial report.
Support.
There's been a motion and support. Any further discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the same. Awesome. Greg, you got anything from the city? I'm throwing you on the spot before you even walk in. I just walked in, just gonna throw you on the spot.
No, I'll take questions this morning, but I don't have anything specifically I want to report, I guess. I guess I can tell you, the planning commission approved our new master plan last night. We'll go to the city commission for confirmation as well, but that's done. Likewise, city commission approved our Parks and Rec master plan at their last meeting, and we're in the process of getting that filed. That'll be filed by the end of the month. So we'll have those two important planning documents all up to date and in place for 2022. Happy to answer any questions anybody has about what's going on at City Hall.
Well, I commend the commission on adopting or working towards the end on these two. As you know, in most of our request when we're going for grants and the like, they say, is it in your parks plan? Is it in your strategic plan? And you guys did a comprehensive job, and I want to thank the commission and the planning commission for what they've done. Any questions? All right, got you off easy.
Beth, do you want to clarify the Zoom participants?
We can do that. I can do that right now, just so you know that why we participate in Zoom in the Open Meetings Act. You have to be present to actually make decisions, discuss, deliberate on the various issues. Even furthermore, Greg, I want to get clarification on this. If you're on Zoom, are you considered present or not present?
You would not be present for the meeting.
You're not present. All right. That's all I really needed to know. I just want to make that clarification. Well, it's good that if you can't be here, be on Zoom so you can stay in tune. Just wanted to make everybody aware of that. Thank you. Thanks. All right, on to promotion. So before I get started, I broke it out into the big 4 categories of the 4-step approach. And we've been working towards that end, but I got even more specific in the areas of which clarifies where those, if you look at economic vitality to design, this is really those categories where the board needs to adopt work plans and activities in those categories, just like that, just in those types of areas. And I'm trying to fit in what we've already done under those categories, but I think we're starting to hone in, and as a board, which you'll see in promotion for a moment, we had promotion committee get together, and I'm going to hand it over to Michelle and Drake in just a moment, but they did a deep dive into Main Street and the processes that they use in each of these committees, these big 4 committees. And you can look into the Main Street archives and deep into their information to see how these committees are supposed to, work and process things. So you'll see some of the work that's done with the promotion committee right now, but I would like to see us sort of embrace each one of these major categories and start working towards that end. Whether it be building inventories, you're going to see, and a few other things we want to start digging in. I will, and I'll mention more when I'm talking about Main Street a little later. So right now, I want to hand it over to Michelle to talk about downtown events and the calendar that's moving forward and a few items that came out, and Drake, whoever wants to speak.
Go for it, Michelle.
Well, I'll let Drake talk about the promotions committee and how that went, but I can go over real quickly events. First Fridays, I think you all have the event calendar. I plan to send that out prior to every DDA meeting, just with any updates, but for the most part, it's pretty set. There's a few items on there that are still to be announced. We're working on hopefully having the May first Friday be a Cinco de Mayo theme, and we're meeting with Rudy Flores tomorrow. Drake and I are to talk to him and see if he wants to partner with us and really make that highlight that more for this event this year. New Year's Eve, and I'll let the mayor chime in on this because she actually had the same idea that I had, we discovered, but I'd really like to do a New Year's Eve event downtown and make that another, premier event for downtown, similar to Comstock. So we're thinking big. This would be the type of event that we would have to start planning now. So we would need buy-in from the Main Street board. It would need to be a partnership, I think, between the city, Main Street, and business owners. Kind of envisioning, maybe a maple leaf drop at the 4 corners, closing down the entire downtown, and also having it be a fundraiser for Main Street. So if we're able to have a beer tent, maybe have a heated tent with a band, work with the businesses, local hotels, a shuttle service, have ticket packages that you can purchase. So the vision would be for it to be an event that anyone can attend for free, or they can, purchase ticket packages, which would then also benefit Main Street. So kind of just want to throw that out there and get some input or thoughts on that if everybody thinks it's a great idea or a terrible idea. And like I said, I'll let the mayor chime in because I know she has her own thoughts on that as well. And then Artilicious obviously is coming up, and I know Don will probably speak about that as well. And then, so I'll give the rest of it to Drake to finish up and the mayor.
When it comes to the New Year's event, Jacob Wilson and I had been talking about this a couple years ago, and then lovely COVID hit. So we were looking at it for 2020. And, as we've talked over the last couple of years, it's just ballooned bigger and bigger, and we really would like to see this. And so it was great when Drake, Jacob, and Michelle all reached out to me because they had just met, and Jacob said in the meeting, the mayor and I have been talking about this. It was really the exact same vision. So that's what's very exciting. But when Michelle and I talked at greater length, really, think Dick Clark's New Year's Eve, just downtown Adrian style, like, a little smaller scale, but still that same kind of idea, and just really go big, especially as we start to head into our 200th. This would be really great to keep building up in the next couple of years. There's just really nothing other than I know Chalmers had an event, but there's just not a lot New Year's Eve around here at all to do. And it would be nice to give the community something that could be family friendly, and and maybe we even Michelle and I talked about maybe doing a ball drop earlier in the day, like late afternoon, early evening for the families, for the children, and then doing it later that night. Obviously, the regular one for all the adults that would be out there, and like we said, having a band or two, and using it as a fundraiser as well.
And just to jump in here also to talk about promotion a little bit, we did have our initial promotion committee meeting, which was very exciting, getting the group together. We have 8 engaged participants so far. And going into it, the first meeting, obviously had to introduce the Main Street concept a little bit, but it was very good. We had some lively participation on our overall strategy. We had our official first piece of business, which was to review the radio contract that we need to get in place moving forward for the rest of the year. And moving forward, I would highly recommend anybody who's interested in one of these 4 areas review the Main Street documentation that they've put out. It's phenomenal. I knew it was going to be good going into it, but once you start digging into their handbooks, everything is really clearly laid out, from what individual participants are supposed to be doing, hourly expectations, roles, responsibilities, all of that fun stuff. So it's very good information. We also talked about potential future strategy for some social media and all that surrounding events. We also talked about some low-hanging fruit, which Main Street suggests that we implement. That's having some retail and restaurant guides, and also having a map of the downtown. And as per the New Year's Eve event, several people had also kind of simultaneously come up with the idea of the map for the downtown. So we have several in progress, but Michelle offered to take the lead on combining the resources that we already have to create a downtown business map, so that way everybody's represented on that particular resource. With regards to the guides, we talked about implementing a downtown bar restaurant guide that would feature each one of those establishments, and doing that in both printed and digital form. Emily had a great idea in terms of putting up these little cards with QR codes on them, so that way if somebody doesn't want the whole piece of paper, they can just save that to their phone. And we're looking at releasing those at the beginning of Q2. These would also be fundraising opportunities, so we can help to pay for additional advertising and promotion, because we can put business ads in with these guides on the map and also on the website directory too. So we should be able to get a substantial amount of resources in there to help continue our promotional efforts. Michelle, since we were talking about radio there, would you like to just touch on the radio contract and what we've done before and what we decided moving forward?
Sure, and I wanted to mention real quick too, as far as the map and the guides. Another thought that had occurred to me for the board to just kind of mull over, but I wonder about having digital kiosks downtown in the future. I'm seeing those pop up in other towns. You know, our downtown's relatively big, but it's not huge. So I think we could get away with maybe putting a couple in at the four corners at first. I have no idea what the cost is, but I think those would be a lot easier for us to update and for the public to navigate than the old fashioned, you know, boards with a map. But I think it'd be really nice to have something like that. And again, that might be more of a Main Street city partnership maybe, but just something to think about. As far as the radio contract, so for the last few years, we've worked with WLEN. We did a contract last year that the DDA participated in. About 75% of that contract is used for advertising for the downtown. We do radio commercials leading up to First Fridays. We do several live remotes, 4 to be exact, that are downtown. I believe we give one to Artalicious to use as well, since that's a big community event. And so this year, the contract is just a little bit more than it was last year. And so the committee talked it over. We still think that there's a lot of value in that contract. Business owners seem to get a lot of value out of it. So the ask is for Main Street to pay for half of the contract, the city to pay for the other half. And then I'll once again reach out to businesses to get sponsorships to help offset what the Main Street pays. That makes sense.
I'll clarify on that too, just a little bit. So to be specific, they show on your contract $7,922 in total value, but the actual cost is $5,244. Half of that would be $2,622. And each business that supports a First Friday, which would be 12 of them a year, they participate with $100. Is it $100 is what we've charged them in the past, or the city? And that offsets that $2,622. So let's say we got 10 out of 12, now going all the way 12. You know, that's about $1,600 and $1,622 for us if it follows through. So any discussion on that?
And also just to clarify from the financial standpoint, we currently have, in this fiscal year, we have $5,000 allocated for advertising, none of which has been used currently. The radio contract is a calendar year contract. So what we used in 2021 was paid for from the 2020/21 budget. So that would still leave us with, $3,400 thereabouts in our advertising budget after offsetting the cost of this radio contract with some business sponsorships and all of that.
Would that same budget cover branding materials, or is that a different line item?
I think that's where we're going to get into clarity when we start budgeting.
Also, to go along with promotion, like I had mentioned earlier, the 200th is coming up in a few years. Drake and I are going to meet with the Historical Society to start to get that ball rolling. That is obviously much bigger than even Main Street, but there obviously will be a Main Street component and a lot happening downtown with that 200th. But, it'll be larger than just the downtown. It'll be more city encompassing when it comes to happen, but we're going to keep that Main Street component as well. And so Drake and I will keep you updated as we just want to start the conversation with the Historical Society and get that going before we start involving a large group of people on a committee. But we're going to start those discussions and then we'll keep you updated on that as well.
I just have a question in regards to the sponsorships for the First Fridays. We've asked for $100, from those businesses. Who are those businesses? I'll just get right to the point. You think we can get 200?
Well, so in years past, we asked for, it was basically like a third, I think, of the contract, and the cost was around 165 maybe. Last year, when I asked the DDA to contribute, I asked that we put it to the businesses as $100 because of the pandemic and everyone was really struggling. Could we possibly, I don't know if we want to do that this year. I mean, I can ask. I don't know if I'll get that or not. We could try. I mean, we could,
Did we have full participation last year? Did we get 12 out of 12 or just?
I don't
10.
know that we got 12. I think so. I'd have to go back and look. This year, we're already into, obviously, we're not going to get January. I don't know if we would get February since it's so close.
Mhm.
So the hope would be to get at least 10 of them. So, I mean, I can try it. I think we'd have to offer a little more than just the radio sponsorship maybe, which, I do also put them on First Fridays as this is our featured sponsor of the month.
So did they get mentioned in those commercials throughout the
They do.
month?
Yep, they do. So when those commercials are only the week prior to the event though. So you're talking like, it's usually like around 12 commercials, I think, or something like that, leading up to the event, and they're listed as the sponsor on those commercials.
Oh, yeah. Maybe we jump to 150 instead of 200.
I mean, our First Fridays are pretty big. I mean, I think when you get 3,000 or 4,000 people in the downtown area on those First Fridays.
And what you might see happen with that approach is we sell the spots for those really popular months and we don't get sponsorships for the months that aren't so popular.
Yeah.
But I'll leave that up to you. Whatever you want me to put out there, I will.
All right, so I'll entertain a motion to join in partnership with the city to engage this WLEN contract for our half of $5,244. There's been a motion. Is there support?
Support.
There's support. Any further discussion? So in this motion, we won't tie that 150 to it, but we'll continue to work diligently to make sure if that works, that would be best to offset the cost. So any further discussion?
I just want to make sure as we look, I mean, this is another significant investment that we're putting out there. And of course, I want to continue partnering with the city because it's been a great relationship. But I just want to make sure that we are being mindful of our marketing budget. And, when it comes to branding and all the other things that we need to do moving forward as well. So I guess that's why I'm pushing for a little extra from the businesses as well, because I think we have a lot of work to do when it comes to marketing and branding the downtown and Main Street and everything else. So I just wanted to clarify that.
Any other discussion? All right, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the same. Drake, thank you. Michelle, thank you. Any further discussion? Any other items? All right. So just as I put the organization, there really is a fundraising committee. We haven't met since the last time, but we're still out there working it. I'm reconciling, and we've received some checks in at City Hall. Greg, has the donate button showed up yet?
I don't believe it's.
Not quite. Real close, yeah. So the fundraising committee will reconvene before next meeting just to see where we stand. But I have been seeing the checks that have been coming in. And so there were some gifts too, towards the end of the year too, for some of the people, just, those year-end gifts. So we'll continue working hard towards that. Also, volunteer recruitment is an area that we've talked about. I don't have anybody really assigned to that as of yet, but this is where I'm really trying to say, if you have interest, please contact me and let's make sure that works. There would be a public relations that would fall under this committee as well. So that's all the communication with the press and the like. And then, of course, work plan development's working its way. When I talk about Main Street, you'll see where that's coming, where and how that is coming. And then we move on to economic vitality. And then we have the land acquisition committee that we've already had in. I will say this, that there's some interesting ideas coming down the pipeline right now for the Gene Christopher property. There's an interesting area is it Muskegon, I believe it is, where they have these little houses. They're no bigger than from me to you. And they put them in a U shape, and then it's pop-up retail or various things that you can rent those for. And then they have a sand volleyball court, and they've got all kinds of things going on in this really activated area that they have. So I've sent that information on to the committee that's been working on that. There's another one I found yesterday. So we need to remember, if we want that piece of property, we got to have a plan. So we're going to keep working towards that thought. If you guys see anything you like, just send it my way. We'll just continue pushing on that. The other thing that Economic Vitality does is supporting housing options, and there's a lot of activity in the downtown at this time. I will say that, we need to get our facade improvement program back. It was something that we had years ago. It was where we shared costs with, we set aside funds and we split. I think it was one time 20% participation, but now it's been as high as 50-50 in sharing costs of the facades. And we really need to get that facade program back in play. And again, Main Street, this is all coming right now. We're going to tie all this back in as we go. We also have a business building inventory that Michelle and Greg worked diligently on as we went through the process of the Main Street application. That is available now, and we can continue to fine tune that. But when we talk about what's available downtown, who owns what, and what's going on with all the various inventory that we have that. We need to sit down and sort of see what it looks like and how, and what it tells us, and what we can see from it. Because we talk about space that's underutilized and a number of other things, the questions they ask. So we'll keep moving forward towards that end. And of course, supporting existing businesses and recruiting new businesses. So big, important thing we've heard, when we get a director, there'll be a bigger part of that, but not all of that. And I do want to make mention right here is that, and it was Mark Murray that told me this yesterday, and it just sort of hit me, is that we could find ourselves over the next few years, 2 or 3 different Main Street directors. You don't know how it's going to play out. We could have a long-term one, we could have them, but as a board, we've got to be able to function as if, we have one and we don't have one, we still continue our work forward. So we need to embrace a lot of this work and even share that with our director once time comes. Okay. And then, of course, into design, there's quality maintenance practices that we'll be adopting, and that'll be part of the workflow processes that we'll see through the Main Street. We've done the parking study and we discuss parking quite a lot. We try to keep it away from the agenda unless we're ready to devote the meeting toward it. So that'll be a part of it. And we need to set up a historic preservation committee. Big part of Main Street is historic preservation. And we are in a district which we were able to approve an application. And there is an organization that gets together and talks about this. So we need to engage and do that. So asking for help as we work on that. In your package, you also saw a sign application that we need to approve, and it was from business owner Bill Milner, and it's over at Milner Insurance. And I believe it's in the Sala building. Is that right? And you see a picture of it there. Greg, is that a protruding sign?
Yeah, it's
Projecting sign, yep. So we had that question. So any other questions on that? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the sign. Is it gonna die?
Motion to approve.
I can see. We can talk frank, guys. It's not a problem. It's white. Is that correct?
Tell me the name of the business again. Dave.
Milner Insurance,
Okay, thank you.
Medicare and healthcare specialist.
It's actually yellow.
I think there's some yellow letter in it. Thought I had a color.
Is the business actually inside Sal building?
I assume so. I don't know anything more about it.
Right.
Oh, there's color on there.
It's a
green.
Did I decide?
It meets all the specifications from a city standpoint, so it's proved there. It's more of, we have more of a judgment decision that's about the steps.
Yeah, what,
Yeah, I'm just being honest. It doesn't really matter to me, quite frankly. I don't have a design bone in my body, but.
well, I'll tell you, you have a probably an even greater challenge coming at your next meeting with the professional building across from City Hall. They have grand plans for some additional signage on there. And we were gonna like kind of give you a primer on the standards that you're charged with using per the zoning ordinance for your next meeting as it relates to that, if it in fact comes in time for your next meeting. But you do have substantial discretion to apply these design criteria for signs that are are being asked to be put up downtown, unlike the rest of the city. And so what Jeremy means when he says it meets our basic criteria, we have a very, very generous sign ordinance, and it allows a large number of signs on each building and a lot of area of signs on every building. And, basically there's very little we can do from a dimensional standpoint or a numerosity standpoint to limit signs as it's currently written. You, however, downtown have discretion. And as a board can exercise discretion related to the design of a sign. And I think should get into doing that where there's some of these more challenging sorts of additions, if you will, to storefronts that already have a substantial amount of signage.
Well, what's difficult is that if we haven't adopted standards that we're going to abide by, and that there's something we can't point towards, it's going to be more of a, we don't like the way it looks. It's not a good enough thing to stand on. So,
Well, you, like I say, you do have those. They're in the zoning ordinance, and I don't have them here in front of me, but if you were, like I say, we're going to bring those to you and review them with you next time. If you want to wait on this, you can. I think I saw a billboard up north of town for this business as well. So I assume they're up and running in that location at this point and are eager to have, some sort of evidence of that out front. It's hard to tell from that representation where exactly the blade sign is going to be.
Yeah, so in the application, it says that it would start at 12 feet above the sidewalk. And it also says it would protrude 50 inches, which is more than 4 feet. So it's significant. It's a large sign.
It's a large sign.
It's 4 feet.
That's
How tall is it? 4 feet wide by.
by about 2 feet tall.
So for reference, the sound panels in this room are 4 feet by 4 feet.
Well,
So it'd be like half of one of those sound panels projecting out.
And one of those sound panels is probably about 12 feet off the ground too, right?
Well, the room's 25 feet high.
Sure. So the bottom
Place.
panels here are about
That's
12
how
feet
I-
off the ground.
All right.
So if you look up and you see the bottom half of one of those panels, that'll be about the
historically,
size.
they used to have an actual committee that would come out and would help you design a sign that was aesthetically in line with what the downtown area and would align you with the other buildings and would blend in with color and size and everything else, and it was very helpful. They don't have the in all honesty, they don't have the benefit of that service, nor do we have the benefit of that service the way that this is set up right now. So they're probably trying to do the very best that they can, and Mr. Sal is probably trying to, fill his building. And I mean, I get what they're trying to do, and from the notice that was sent to us, they pay a $50 sign fee, right? Or something
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that. I don't know what they get for that, or, or not, but it seems to me that it would be worth it if it's not so objectionable, and if it's only in order for us to get a better idea and to help them do something that would be more aesthetically advantageous to them and us to delay this. I would recommend that we delay it, try to take a better look and then have a better understanding of what they're slapping on the downtown.
Greg, can I just ask a question? I support that, Margaret, fully.
Sorry, I can't hear you.
I support your comments very fully. I'm just wondering, in the process that has already happened, is the structure of the sign part of the approval that has happened via the ordinance? So a sign that sticks out 4 feet to me, I think, starts to have some question about its ability to withstand wind and that kind of thing. That wouldn't be this board's responsibility. That would be part of the previous approval at the city. correct?
Yeah, and I mean, it is a building permit, and if there are structural components to it, then the building inspector gets involved with that.
Okay, got it.
I don't want this person to think that we're, just arbitrarily hard-nosing with working a building.
Aesthetic standpoint.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and sensitive to getting this sign up there, this business publicly acknowledged, but we do so in an effort to assist him in doing so aesthetically.
So would it make sense for us to look at the Main Street approach for design here and implement a modification to our workflow where sign applications get routed through our design committee offline first, so we can have some opportunity for back and forth with the potential installer of the sign? And that way, by the time it reaches the public meeting, we actually have a good idea that there's a consensus there rather than the public meeting being the make or break point.
I would agree.
Mhm.
Who likes design? All
Jerry.
right, design committee.
Who said that? That's the.
Jerry, yeah, I asked who wants to be in the design committee.
yeah.
So we have 2.
Yeah.
Anybody else would like to join design? That would be great. All right. And I want to mention back to the promotion committee for a minute. What I found interesting in the report is we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people that are not on the DDA that are on that committee. That is the way it should look, in my opinion. So if you have 2 of you recruit specialists and people that can do this kind of thing and have them help us. So it was a motion. It has not been seconded, so it's going to die for now, but I want to go ahead and have somebody
I'll withdraw my motion.
withdraw the motion. And we'll table it till next meeting. So we can have a motion to table. Is there support? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
I,
All those opposed, the same. Thank you.
Mhm.
Can I just ask a quick question?
Sure.
Who will, yeah, exactly, because
Yeah, I would like that too.
Sure.
who will communicate with him? Because we've left DDA meetings approving signs and I've seen them going up on buildings that very day.
Right.
So I'd hate for him to be thinking it's just a rubber stamp and he's working.
Yeah,
on
no,
things.
Jeremy will tell them what's happened. Now, are you intending to get your committee together then in time for this sign applicant to meet with you? And should he be directing
Sure.
the applicant to you?
Yeah, I think we can, if he emails you or I, we can meet with him in the next week or
Okay.
so and then help him move forward.
And
That's
then
what we'll do.
furthermore, anything we have across the street that we can get into committee maybe by next meeting too. and-
We'll do that as well.
Excellent.
Could you forward the documents that you referenced to both
Yes.
Meredith and I?
Yep.
That'd be great. Thank
Yep.
you, Greg.
Okay.
And before you leave there, do any updates on the street lamps?
No.
I'm glad.
I'm
you
looking
asked
for
him that
John
one.
on the meeting. He's not going to be on our progress meeting. Our progress meeting's tomorrow. We haven't had one in a couple weeks because of the holidays with JCI, but last we talked, it was really looking like spring before we were going to see anything going up.
Got it.
I think some of the materials have started to arrive, so I can say that.
I did ask Matt to make it really clear that it would be great if that project was completed before spring. Or at least, before like our major First Friday events start, it would be nice to not have street lamps all torn up and a disaster.
Would have been nice to have heat in City Hall this winter too, but it didn't work out that way.
No. All right, we'll stay diligent on that as well. And not really an update on trees. They got as many as they could, and then they'll finish it off in the spring. And we'll have our maple trees downtown everywhere, which will be wonderful. And the demonstration project's still about halfway through on that. On the windows, the demonstration project, still got a window or two. Sorry, Greg, I should put those all under you.
Nope.
We contracted for both those buildings. We got one. I mean, you can see how it looks. I like how the one that he did looks. It took forever to get it done, but I really like how it looks. Now, as soon as we did that, it apparently stirred up the pigeons in the building and they began blowing out all the windows on the second floor, or maybe it was the third floor. So that was an unfortunate side effect, but in terms of the window treatment, I'm interested to hear your all thoughts on it, but I was happy with the way the window treatment made the street level appearance of that building look way better than looking in on what it looks like inside.
I would have thought the pigeons would have approved of the bakery concept.
Yeah, that was our theory too, but it didn't work out that way either.
Yeah, pigeons. They were a part of the Strong Back project too, if you remember. All right. Take the chance to go by and see it, and maybe we can all give opinion next meeting and just say, hey, how does that look? But it is one of those best practices while we wait.
Yeah, again, if we're happy with the way that works, and it wasn't very expensive, I think it was $600 for that building. Our intent would be to have an ordinance that requires that for vacant buildings downtown.
Excellent. All right, and then I'm just keeping parklets on there because we know it's going to get done. It's on motion.
I need to organize a meeting.
You do? Okay. Jerry will organize meeting for the parklets. All right. All right, we have another interview coming on Main Street Director. The interview committee has been contacted. We'll be doing that between now and the next meeting. A lot of us have sat down, and I'll say this to all of you, that instead of posting it again right now, we've taken time to step back and look around you and look around at your friends and those that are in the workforce and say, is there somebody that just fits this profile that we could recruit from our own community? And I think that's what we're all sort of doing right now. There's been some encouragement of others to try to put in their application. And I have some meetings sitting down with some other people as well, just to encourage them to see if we can find somebody here in our own community that would like to take that position. So for now, maybe by next meeting, we may be suggesting that we post. So, or if you have people that you can think of and that you've met and and have that bubbly personality, remember one of the things we've heard now through Main Street is not necessarily do they need Main Street experience. I think some of us think we need to have that. This needs to be a personality type, one with energy, one with that personality that sort of grabs people's attentions and builds relationships. So if we'll move forward and continue to work towards that end. The board training that's coming up, just remember January 18th from 5:30 to 7:30. Was there clarification on the city commission meeting that evening?
We are not having it that evening.
Oh, thank you, Mayor. That's so nice of you guys.
Well, luckily, our city administrator and Michelle had figured that out, that we had a meeting scheduled at the exact same time. So it has been moved to Monday, January 24th.
Well, we appreciate that. It's an important meeting. So that'd be all of us meeting here. We'll be live on Zoom, but we need to be together because of the Open Meetings Act. And we will be with two other communities. I think it's Coldwater and is it Garden City? Is that got it right? Yeah. And the Main Street, Laura and Lee, and then we'll be there to help with that. So that'll be a big meeting. Everybody mark your calendars, January 18th. Also, starting next Monday, this Monday coming up, actually, we'll be releasing the survey to our community and business leaders. I'll be pushing, you'll get emails from me. We'll be spreading this out throughout the community. We want as much participation in this survey as possible because it is really the final stage of that first stage where we all got together and started talking about it. Well, we're going to get into the February on-site meetings, February 22nd at 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. And that'll be at the Armory. And there'll be the community, the public meeting with the Main Street Board present. And then on February 23rd at 10 a.m. to 11:30, they'll meet with us, the Main Street Board, to present us with transformational strategies. And these strategies will, go into one of these categories, each of these categories. This will be the time where we really define what these committees are in clarity and what projects each of these committees will lead on. So I think this is an important part of tying things together and us starting to focus on what's best for our downtown. So make sure you have all those on your schedule. I did finally speak with Tim Roberts, or is it Roberts? Yeah, just had him up there. I was about to say Roberts. And he has been very, very busy and with family and some other things and the like, and he graciously said that he would step aside at this time. We know that attendance had been not all that good, but that's fine. He was very gracious and he said he wanted to stay involved. And I asked him, we need you to stay involved. We need as many volunteers as possible. We need you to be a part of one of these committees or two. And he said he would, and he appreciated it. And we want to thank him for all of his work and commitment that he has made with the DDA over the number of years that he's been on the board. So I wish him well. And that means we will have an open seat. We do have some applicants, but I want to go ahead and sit down with the mayor and that group that we have that we call together and just make some decisions or whether we post it or not. But I'm not here to say we post it yet because we had some people that we've already interviewed and we need to ask the question, is any one of those the right person? All right. Unless anybody sees that differently. Here I'd like to, I gave you each this letter from a young man named Cole Bobby, and he's in the audience today. If you remember our last meeting, I said that Mike Neal had resigned as the advisory person, the seat like Michael Orlando has, and he had from Adrian College. It has been recommended from Adrian College that we consider Cole Bobby as our advisory DDA board member. I sat down with him and he's an extraordinary young man with lots of energy. And at 20 years old, he has, I think you're a sophomore, is that correct at Adrian College? Yeah. He has some incredible ideas and he has really got a voice of the students. You can really, when you sit and talk with him and the like, don't mean to put you on spot, Cole, but lots of energy. Asked him to be here today to see if this intimidated him. And I don't. He's got to go through that test, but I'll talk with him. I want to put him on the spot, but I think he's here to just evaluate and see if he wants to be a part of this, but he is excited. But it is great if we can continue to start, the reason we want those seats on the board is so that we can engage those students and get them to come downtown and find ways to get them to come downtown. And he's already got a bunch of ideas for us. So, well, thank you for this. And this gives you a little bit about him. And the next meeting, we'll make a consideration and a vote on that. Is that all right? But I want to talk to him after this and see how he feels. All right. All right. Thank you. All right. Those two items. Tim, do you have something for us?
Tim Robinson, Lenawee Now. Basically, the one thing, we've got the ethics symposium coming up at the Boathouse, the Adrian College Boathouse. The Premier Bank is sponsoring it from 12:30 to 3. I believe you go online and sign up. Other than that, our business is booming right along. Talent attraction and retention is the biggest hurdle we've got right now and the majority of our efforts. I've got 5 or 6 consultants on staff right now helping businesses we have an EDA grant to help them with the disruption caused by COVID and everything else that's been going on. So if you have businesses or friends with businesses that need help on that kind of stuff, give us a call. We have, like I say, we have grant money to help support consultants for marketing, branding, strategy, you name it. If you're struggling, or if you think you're about to struggle, by all means, get a hold of us and we can help you out. Other than that, everything's just cooking right along. Any questions?
Any questions for Tim? All right, thank you, Tim. Appreciate it. Before I make comments, I want to step back just a moment. We want to discuss Art Delicious. I passed right on by because we got into that WLEN contract. So I'm going to put, Dave and Don on the spot a little bit. Do we have plans for that? Was there a date? What are we looking at? Art Delicious. Dan, Don. It's not public comment. We're going to go back. It was on the agenda and I would have called you up to talk about it. I did. I blew right past you. Okay, we'll wait for public comment. Sounds good. I understand. I had this problem yesterday at a meeting. I don't know what's going on. All right, I don't really have any comments. Seems like I've done a lot of talking today, so I'm gonna move on to public comment. Don.
I love you, Dusty. Well, so first of all, thank you for bringing up the facade program that we used to have. David and myself and our 22 other partners on our first building took advantage of that back in 2015. And it was either a grant program or a loan program or a combination. And we did our facade work. We had a small grant or a loan actually, which we were able to pay back over a number of years. And if you paid back the first year, you got a big discount. And it really worked out well. So I'm glad you brought that back up again. Delicious. So we met on Monday, our committee did, and we're all very tired, so we've decided not to do it anymore. 15th annual one. Now, here's the news. We haven't published it yet. We have a meeting of our marketing committee later today. We're moving to 2 days, Saturday, Sunday, assuming that everybody will let us do it. The city lets us close down the streets for a couple of days over the weekend. 11 to 7 on Saturday, the 17th of September, 11 to 5 on Sunday, the 18th. We surveyed 125 of our previous artists, and preference for 1 day or 2 days. We had about a 35% response, I guess. 2/3 of those said 2 days for lots of different reasons. I'm excited about it. And I will tell you that our committee enthusiastically voted unanimously to please have something Saturday night on South Main Street. So I hope that you will visit the issue again of a band on Saturday night as a fundraiser for Main Street, hopefully. If the legislation passes, where we can have a beer and wine tent, that would be wonderful down there. Man, we hope we can do that because I think it was a wonderful addition. And even though it's going to be more workforce in 2 days, I don't actually see it that way. I think, once you get the first day going, things just happen from there. Plus, I don't have to spend all my time Saturday night cleaning up. I can drink beer with all of you and listen to the band. So anyway, that's our news. So hopefully we'll have something publicized in the next couple of 3 days. And look at Michelle over there. That
Can
woman
I
works
ask a quick question? So the streets would close Friday for install, like all day
probably,
Friday?
no, probably 5 o'clock like we did last year.
Yeah, got it.
We bring in the food vendors and we're going to go back to offering electrical again as soon as I can get a hold of the electricians to make sure it'll work. Last year we didn't, primarily for financial reasons, although we turned out to be good managers of our money last year. So Friday night, I know you're going to probably have something
Yep.
at the Croswell. The more the merrier.
It's Kinky Boots, by the way, Don. So Kinky Boots is the musical that weekend.
Oh, okay.
So I
right.
hope you have your spangled.
And we were
high
worried about
heels.
parking last year, but the Croswell notified all their people coming on Friday night about the closure. And I don't think you had any problems at all.
No.
And we really do appreciate that partnership. So that's where we're at, 15th annual one coming up. So,
Very good.
yeah.
Thank you, Don. I do know when I was at Artelicious, several of the vendors that I've frequented every year were saying that they were really hoping we could go to 2 days.
Yep.
I know that was the request of quite a few of the art vendors. So, and I know the public felt that way too, because with football games or whatever it might be, they were hoping they could come Sunday, but we didn't obviously have it on Sunday. So
Yeah.
I do know that there was a big request for that. So thank you very much.
Yeah, West Palm East Street is always our nonprofit row, and we're getting some pushback from the nonprofits about 2 days. I mean, not pushback, but they said, we have trouble staffing it. So we're going to offer a 1 or 2 day option for them. And with the idea that probably we'll fill up the street on Saturday, and maybe we might have 8 or 10 who want to actually be there for 2 days. We push them, they would be located near the Four Corners. And we have a few other options that we're talking about, some pretty cool stuff we could do on Sunday for the rest of that space. So stand by. We'll keep you posted.
I will, Don, once again, I appreciate you and what you do for us. I'll be more than happy to chair the fundraising event for Artalicious again. And I'll work on sponsors and working with putting together the beer tent as we originally planned, as long as legislation does get passed. We know it has passed the House, but I did not have time to reach out to Bronna to see if it's gone through the Senate and passed as well. So, but I'll be more than happy to take that over and work with the DDA, and I'll prepare a budget moving forward for Artalicious for next year.
Just the clarity on that is the DAR district, remember, we couldn't, if we set up a tent and we started selling alcohol, then they could not, none of the restaurants. So we passed the House that won't be that way. Once it passes the Senate, we can really vamp up the event. I think it needs to be a big one. So, thank you.
David, I'd be happy to chip in and help on that group as well.
All right, thank you.
I speak band lingo.
Yeah.
Jim Berryman. Yeah, Don I got a new phone and he got a text yesterday that I sent him in November. So it's amazing how that works. I only have 3 minutes, so I just want to quickly, obviously this is the first meeting, your first meeting since Comstock Riverwalk. And I want to thank, publicly thank our city administrator, Greg Elliott, the mayor, city commission, been extremely supportive. And it just wouldn't work without the cooperation of the commission and all of the parks and forestry and DPW workers that put so much effort into it. So thank you on DDA, working with Dusty. We had a nice little celebration after the lighting on that Friday. And I just wanted to coming here for a reason. I want to ask you something that we've talked about the numbers of trees. This was the largest number of trees in Downtown. We're getting to a point in the park where we're getting to a power issue. So we talked about how do we start bringing the trees from the park down to the downtown. And incorporating the main 4 blocks downtown into that and bringing those trees there. So I have some ideas, but the ideas will only, happy to share those, but as far as my involvement, it's strictly up to the mayor and the commission and the administrator, whether they want me to continue to do that or not. So it's on a volunteer basis. So I'm not speaking on behalf of the city. I'm a volunteer. I do it, and I only do it. I do it because I love it, but it's at the wish of the commission. If the commission wants someone else to go on with that, we would certainly, step aside and let them do that. But my main purpose for coming today is I try to do something different each year to keep the interest going. And we added Santa Chair this year, which was extremely popular. A lot of pictures on Facebook of families enjoying that. And I was very, very pleased with that. Was very pleased with two major windstorms and the public that came in and redecorated their trees after both of those. They're getting better each year at securing the ornaments on their trees. And this year it was fantastic. They came back, and I know the mayor came back, and hers was almost laying in the river. The whole tree, not the ornaments. So she's the only one that had, it looked like supports for the Eiffel Tower. So hers wasn't going anywhere. The bridge on either end of the park might go somewhere, but that tree was going to stay. But the other was lights on the river. And again, I wanted to thank North Coast and Kai and Amazing Buds. They sponsored it. I thought it was very appropriate to light the river, is to have a marijuana industry pay for that. And they were extremely gracious and very happy with the way it turned out. So with that, one of the main purposes I was coming to you today was the wires are already up, thanks to the ingenuity of DPW. I wanted to do that, and they said, yeah, there's a way we can do this. And so the wires are there to hold them. So instead of taking them down, I think, when we have a river in the central business district, it ought not to be just an attraction for December, all year long. And so the weirs are there, and I thought, Comstock needs to be special, and we'll always make that special and do the lights on the river in a special manner. But the rest of the year, I'd like to get DDA's support and come to the city commission and ask if we can put up, of course, I would go out and raise the money for the lights, but to start out with is going down the river and going every other wire and do the city color, blue and white, as we go down the river. And those would go on at dusk and off at dawn, put them on a timer. And actually, as we go down, we would do a blank and then we'd do white and blue and white, blue and white, blue and white, all the way down the river. In June, it's Flag Day and then 4th of July. So the 1st of June, we could put red up on those blank wires and we would have red, white, and blue. And so there's different things we could do with that just to emphasize the river. I mean, it's the other things that go on in the park, fantastic, and would love to see that. But the river is there. And I think having that is just an attraction that people can look forward to and just drive by and just enjoy and let them know that it's there. So that's what I, again, would bring that to you. Would like to have the DDA's Main Streets support to move forward with that. And then I would go to Greg and the mayor and the commission and ask if they would support such an idea. So I'm sure my 3 minutes are up.
Well, that wouldn't be a first there, Jim.
Well, and I would just like to publicly thank Jim Berryman again. I don't know how many here realize how many hours, especially with all the rain we had this year and all the wind. Every time I drove by, Jim's car was there. He was trying to fix something. He was talking to somebody about the electricity because things were out. And I know he was getting calls. I would text him and say, electricity's out. Do you want me to take care of it? And he's like, no, I'm already on it. And so we were talking nonstop during all of that because there were certain parts out, but he was constantly there taking care of it and really making sure that it just looked beautiful. And I do know that my children all live out of state, most of them now, and they immediately noticed that river this year. They immediately said that river looks so cool like that with the lights. They thought it was great, really highlighted the river. So there were many compliments. My brother came from out of town and said the same thing and wished they would do something similar in Pittsburgh where he lives. But so there were many compliments on the river. And as always, I know at the tree lighting that evening, there were several people that just came up and talked to me as I was walking around at the lighting that night that were from out of state, Tennessee, different states, Texas. They were up here visiting family and it just happened to be on the same weekend that we were lighting. And they said this was something they've never seen done in their community. They thought it was spectacular and such a great event. And they thought it was so neat that you could, we had the Dara district and you could walk around there and look at the lights, but they just thought the whole evening was just beautiful for those that were there that evening. So thank you for all your hard work. I know you are there every day, countless hours, starting the 1st of November through now. So thank you very much.
You have a lifetime appointment?
We hope so.
You have any
It's a
idea?
lot of work. It's a lot of work.
Do you have any idea of attendance from that event?
Hard to judge. It was great. Yeah, and a lot of it was not up by the stage. When the lights went on in the park was full. So it was just a great night. And the parade, I think the parade was fantastic. People, the lighting was really at 7:30. People started coming in at 6.
Yeah.
And started pouring in and walking around.
Taking their seats.
It's always great to see that many people in downtown. And it's like our delicious, you have a nice event to come to, people will come.
The parade was amazing. Yeah. People came waiting for the parade. It was just so well organized and attended. People were just happy and delighted. It was wonderful. It was a great evening. And it continued throughout the season. People attended and just Just a great opportunity to decorate, and like you said, redecorate and visit. It was a great family, a great thing for our community. It was wonderful.
And I'm really glad to hear that you are looking at expanding the trees somehow, some way, even outside of the park. I just know that there are so many that really want to do a memorial tree for someone, or, businesses that want, and we just ran out of trees this year, like right away, like very quickly. We just didn't have enough. There just wasn't enough room. And I know that expansion would be greatly appreciated by the public, because I know we could definitely have more trees decorated, because there was definitely a want and a need for that. So thank you for looking into that.
I even had a client come down soon after everything was decorated from Detroit, and we had a long editing session in the studio there, but he was just absolutely enthralled by the display, and he was so enthralled that he asked if he could buy one of the trees and take it home because he hadn't purchased one yet.
Free design.
Free selling.
Jerry.
Jim, I would just be really happy to have a conversation about moving those downtown as a part of the downtown decorating. Got a committee that is working on that, and they really, because we were we really kept things minimal this year because of the street lamp project, but there's a group of enthusiastic volunteers that I think could help with that idea. So maybe we have some conversation. And I had asked Jim this question: is it confirmed that the event will be on first Friday of December again next year?
Yes, I emailed Eric back that, yes.
Hello, Dusty.
Yes, Mark.
Just really quickly wanted to update the committee on the Gene Christopher property. There is a model in Bay City. It's called Dry Dock. It's downtown. It's a project similar to what the original intent was, to put a bar and some seating there. If the committee has a chance to go to Facebook and put Dry Dock Bay City, it's an interesting project that involves a partnership between the State Theater and a local brewery, and they utilize the Dry Dock facility to do fundraisers and other community events. So I'd like to see us take a look at that as one model that works well in Bay City. And the other item I just wanted to mention under design, I think it would be appropriate if we had a master plan under there, so that as we're looking at the various areas of the Main Street geographics, we can really develop a way to think about how we want the area to develop. And I don't think we have that in our minds right now. And finally, I just wanted to thank City Manager Greg for doing a wonderful job at keeping the heating costs at City Hall low this winter.
Prudent.
Little do you know how many space heaters are on this. Energy saving goals are made.
Other public comment.
I have a quick one.
Sure.
This will probably be, I imagine, coming back to the Main Street Board through the Promotion and Events Committee, but I just wanted to, again, put this on your radar. With First Friday events, I know I've mentioned this before. Last year, we had bands, and those were put together through a downtown business owner that got some sponsorships, and our sound person donated their time. But if we're going to do bands again this year, we're going to need a budget for that and a plan pretty quickly. So just want to keep that in your heads.
All right.
Michelle, can you refresh which business owner it was?
It was Diane Rouser.
Got it. Thank you.
And I'd like to, as Michelle said, reinforce the need for a defined budget in that area. So looking forward to meeting about that. There is also a anonymous contributor who stepped in and made up the difference for typical scale for paying these bands last year. And we can't always rely on the kindness of strangers in that regard. So the sooner that we can get that allocated, the better. So we can, we had tons of great comments about the bands there for First Fridays. So it'd be great to still be able to have that in a sustainable manner.
And when is the next First Fridays committee meeting?
Well, so I'll hold another First Friday planning meeting, but I think that's going to sort of evolve into the promotions and events
Okay.
committee. So
All right. Excellent. Any other public comment? Cool, come on up.
Okay, so I had an idea when Jim was talking about the lights down the river there. My dad had the opportunity to install the fountain down there, and you can do the covers over the lights to change the colors of the lights that are actually shining on the fountains in Comstock Park. So like you mentioned on the 4th of July, doing red, white, and blue, I thought that would be a good addition as well to bring red, white, and blue to that fountain there. That would look good.
Absolutely.
That's all.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
You know, Dad and Mom's Tom and Cindy, if you didn't recognize. The obvious. All right, other DDA matters. I want to bring this up. There was discussion, it's just early on, but the canopy lighting downtown is, I'm hearing more and more discussion about something of that nature to create an ambiance in the downtown. We see this in a number of downtowns, whether it's Sylvania to so many others. There's big ideas and there's other ideas about the whole thing, but I do want to continue. And for those that can find information on that, we're doing some research right now and seeing what other cities and what their vendors, who their vendors were, some of the issues they had to deal with business owners and attaching to buildings and how all that works. So there's that afoot as well. So lights. So, and I don't believe, are there any other DDA matters? By the way, the trash issue is going to be coming around pretty quick. So I want to make sure that everybody's aware. I'm going to be sitting down, looking at the specific details of the no rhyme, no reason plan that's already in effect right now. And I mentioned to you in the last meeting that there are a number of businesses that were not participating and that will need to be participating in the future to be fair and equitable. So probably by next meeting, we'll be really digging in on this, and it is, it can get sensitive. So I will let you know what we find out there.
So you're suggesting we don't wear anything to the next meeting that would require dry cleaning?
All right. Others, I remember everything. I went through this with Michelle. She was helpful. Michelle, anything I forgot? No? All right. Any other questions? Any other DDA matters? Board member comments? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Is there support?
Support.
There's motion and support. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the same. Thank you all.